Okay, good morning, everybody. This is Gary Feldman,
And Ronnie Kaplan.
and we're about to do another webinar for you. So, Ronnie, what do we have today?
Okay, we're going to talk about Excel today, and as we described in our advertisements about this, we're going to show you how to summarize information from multiple sheets into one sheet on the same file, and also how to summarize information or consolidate information from various files in Excel into one file.
Now, I know Excel is one of our most popular ones that we do. And then, Ronnie, so you're doing this because, do you do this also for other people?
Yes, I do training for corporate groups, and I do training with individuals, and that can be done in full-day sessions or half-day sessions. So please feel free to contact me, Ronnie Kaplan, at Computer Training Solutions, and the number is 203-329-2421, or you can go to my website, computertrainingsolutions.biz.
All right, Trent. Well, let's get started.
Okay. So here we have a spreadsheet that is an appliance company, Franklin Appliances, and they have locations in 4 different cities here. And they have selling washing machines, dryers, refrigerators, etc. And here they have just the information on those sales, and then some sums going across and sums going down. So this is pretty standard, straightforward information. This is the quarter 1 information. And here's in quarter 2 and quarter 3 and quarter 4. And you'll notice that they're all laid out identically so that the first bit of data, of numeric data, is in B5, which is washing machine sales for Chicago. And that's true in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the optimal way of having your data arranged if you do want to consolidate, to have everything located in the same cell. Not always possible, but I will describe how you can fix that. So in addition to having the 4 quarters, you might want to have a sheet in your file that consolidates or sums up all of that information. And so here we have a summary sheet, which has the same labels going across and down, but does not have the data. And we'd like to add up quarters 1 through 4 here. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways to do this. The first method is a simple method of using the plus to add things. So first we're just going to say equal, starting a formula, and looking for the plus key on his key. Here we go. Okay, and so we're going to go to quarter 1 and click on that B5 cell, which has the washing machine sales for Chicago, and then we're going to plus and go to quarter 2, and again B5 and plus again, and quarter 3, B5 and plus once more, quarter 4, B5. So notice in the formula bar, it is adding up each quarter B5 cell, adding those 4 together. When I hit enter, there is my answer, and if I click on it, here is the formula. Okay. Now, because everything is laid out identically in terms of the cities going down from A5 to 6 to 7 to 8 and so forth, and across the same way, we can use our autofill handle to fill that data because it's just doing a relative copy down and across. And so underneath that in New York, it's adding up the B6 cells, and over here, it's adding up the C5 cells, etc. If these were not laid out identically, and as I said, sometimes it's just not possible because of different things that happen in different locations or with different products, you would need to create this formula adding up each item separately for each of these cells to make sure that you got the right information and you were adding it in the right place. So it would be a rather tedious, and of course that's also more prone to error. So your best bet is to try and arrange everything so that they are identically set up. Now, in addition to this method, I am going to delete the data from the summary that we worked on, and I'm going to show you another method. If everything is laid out identically, and only if that is the case, you can use an auto sum method. So you can go to auto sum, or type in equal sum, whatever, however you like, and I'm going to go to the quarter one and select again that B5 cell. Now, in order to tell it that I want to sum from quarter one through quarter four, I'm going to hold my shift key and then click on quarter four. So because I'm holding my shift key, notice this formula gives me quarter one through, quarter four on the B5 cell. And when I enter it, there is exactly the same answer, but it is obviously derived a little bit differently. And if I autofill, that's going to work perfectly fine. Again, only if everything is laid out identically on all four of these quarters. And obviously this is a little bit easier, especially what if you had a sheet for each month. So you had 12 months you had to add. It's not very convenient to be creating a plus formula if you have to do 12 different pieces to add up, or if you had 20 sales reps you were adding up the sales from. So this is obviously very convenient way to do that. Okay, I'm going to use another example, and here is a different spreadsheet, and this one has different cities, Boston, San Francisco, Dallas, etc. Actually, we're starting in New York, so it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities, and then it has a summary. Again, each of the cities is laid out identically with the B6, in this case having the first value in it. And it's January, February, March, so it's the first quarter for sales for these various printers. Same deal. So I'm going to go to the summary, and because they're laid out the same way, I'm going to go to my auto sum, and I'm going to click on New York, go to the B6, which is the first data cell, hold my shift key, and then select Dallas, because that's the last of the city sheets. So I'm going New York through Dallas on that B6 cell. That's what it tells me in the formula bar. When I hit enter, you can see that that's what it's done. It's given me a sum of New York through Dallas, adding up all of the B6 cells. And again, because everything's laid out the same, I can autofill down and autofill across. Okay? And each one is just doing a relative copy. So we're getting those answers. Now, interestingly enough, just like within a one sheet where you might be adding up a column of figures, if you use the auto sum and you get a range adding up, it would make a difference if you entered something within the range. So let's say that you are the sales manager in this company and you have now been given the job of also adding the Chicago office to this. So if I simply use my control key to add another sheet here. I'm not sure what I did there, so let's, no, I don't want the summary too. Okay, so I got a San Francisco too. Somehow I added 2 sheets, which I didn't want to do. Okay, so I'm going to change that sheet by renaming it to say that this is Chicago. And I'm going to change here the heading on the sheet to say it's Chicago. And I obviously would have different data, but we're not so concerned about the data, so I'm not going to bother changing the data. And I want you to look at the summary sheet now and see how the first figure has 149,000 some odd. That's including now Chicago because it's going from New York through Dallas, and Chicago is in that mix. If I take the Chicago sheet and move it before New York, now it's 120,000. So it's not including that because it doesn't fall within the New York through Dallas. If I move the Chicago sheet back within that area, then the summary goes back to 149,000. So you have to be cognizant of the fact that when you create a formula with a range, if you add something within the range, it will automatically include it. If it's outside the range, it will not. Okay, I also have a total sheet here. And what if I simply wanted to bring forward the New York totals for January? That's very simple. All I have to do is say equal, go to New York, and here's the January total in B11, and I can enter that, and there I have. It's just bringing forward that data from that cell. Likewise, I could say, what if I wanted to bring the formula, the figure for Philadelphia, I could go to Philadelphia, there's the January total, and so forth. There isn't any way for me to auto-fill this, so you'd have to do that individually. However, down here I have totals for products, and these are each of those printer products, and they're in the same order that they are in each of the city sheets. So if I were to say equal here, and go to New York, and select the total for that first printer, which is in E6, and then use my Shift key and say, okay, New York through Dallas on E6, then I'm getting, whoops, I'm getting a problem. Let's start that again. Something is amiss here. Okay, equal, I think I forgot to hit the auto sum. Okay, try this again. Okay, I know I forgot to hit auto sum. That was the problem. So it wants to sum up the January. And hold Shift and go all the way to Dallas, which is the last of the cities. And when I hit Enter, there is the total of New York through Dallas on that E6 cell. And then again, if I auto-fill that down, since all these printers are listed in the same order on each of these sheets, I am going to get a total, a relative total. So that's E7, that's E8, that's E9, etc. So you can work it in a variety of different ways, and that is a way to do to get a consolidated or summary of your data when it's laid out identically. Now, we can also use another feature that is called consolidation. So I'm going to go back to this summary sheet. I'm going to select the data that we summarized in a variety of ways and delete that. And I'm going to use a function called consolidate. So let me open up the ribbon here. Okay, so this is going to be a data function. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm selecting the data, the range in which I would like to consolidate my information. And then I'm going to select data, and over towards the right here, consolidate. And this is called consolidation by position, because all of the data is in the same position on all of the sheets. And it's asking me what I would like to consolidate. So I'm going to first say New York, and I'm going to select that same data, which is B6 to D10, and I'm going to say add it. So it's going to create a little list here. Then I'm going to go to Philadelphia, and because it's exactly the same range, I don't even have to select it again. I can just say add. It already has it selected. Boston, add. San Francisco, add. Chicago, add. And Dallas, add. So I have all of these sheets adding up the B6 through the D10. Now, I don't have to indicate using labels, because obviously I already have the labels for the rows and columns, but I would like to create links to the source data, which is going to give us some interesting additional information. And when I say OK, it's going to consolidate that. I just have to make these a little wider. It's going to consolidate all of that information, just like we did when we summarized it with an equal sum formula. But the difference here is this extra column on the left, which is an outline feature that's part of Consolidate as well as part of some other functions in Excel. And so if I want to see the detail of those January printer sums, I can click in that plus, and it's going to open up, and notice what it says in my formula bar. That data's from Boston, this one's from Chicago, this one's from Dallas, etc. So I could see the detail of where those numbers are coming from on the very same sheet. And I could use the minus to close that up. If I wanted to see all the detail, I could use the 2. Notice there's a 1, 2 on top of that column. That opens all of them up. Okay, and the 1 would consolidate or summarize or collapse all of that. And so that's another way that you can create a summary. So we did a simple formula that pluses the data you wanted to add. We did one that created an equal sum range that you wanted to add, and then we did one that is a consolidation. Okay, so these were all adding up data that were in the same file on different sheets. So the other possibility is you might want to add things from different sheets. So I'm going to close a couple of these out. So, and then I'm going to open up some other sheets from here. So we're going to open up a consolidation, and I'm going to use my control key to open up Decker and Hanover. These are different, and Finch. So these are different sales reps, and when I hit enter, they're all going to open. Okay, so I've opened up a bunch of different sheets for these three different sales reps and a consolidation sheet. And in order to make it a little bit easier to work with and to see what we're doing, I'm going to tell it to view and arrange them all, tiled, so they're all on one sheet. So it may be a little bit confusing, but easier than flipping back and forth between one another. And you can see that each of these are laid out the same, and we have items and prices and quantities and sales, and what's different in the different sheets is the quantities that they sold, because they're all selling the same items at the same prices, but since the quantities are different, that's going to make a difference. So we're going to do some consolidation from the different files. So I'm going to go to the consolidation sheet. Okay, and this is what I want. See, what's missing is the quantity. We already have formulas that will figure out the sales and the commission, but I don't have the quantity here. So I'm going to select that range because we're going to do a consolidation. I think I have to go down to 14. Yeah, okay, so the range goes from C5 to C14. And then I'm going to go to Data Consolidate. That's the Consolidate, yes. Okay, so what's my references? So the first reference is to this first sheet here, the Decker sheet, and I'm going to, can't quite see all of them, so it's a little bit tricky. Okay, so I'm going C5 to C14 from the Decker sheet 1, and I'm going to add that. And then I'm going to go to the next sheet, which is the Hanover, and again, I'm just adding the quantity. So I'm going to take it down to C14 again. Same thing, add. And then move this out of the way so I can go to the Finch. And I'm going to, again, start in C5 and go down to C14, which is the quantity, and I'm going to add. So it's adding up for those three sheets, Decker, Finch, Hanover, C5 through C14. Again, I don't need labels because I've already got them in the consolidation sheet, which is over here, but I do want to create the links to the source data. And I'm going to say OK. I'm going to close this off. And then I'm going to maximize this consolidation sheet so we can see what we have here. And here they have added up the quantities. And because I said I wanted links to the source, notice all the pluses in that special new column you have on the left, and the 1 and the 2, which means there's 2 levels of data. And if I click on the 2, it's going to open up, and as I click on each one of these numbers, you can see this one is from Finch, this one is from Hanover, this one is from Decker, and that's going to be true for each of these. It opens up the detail, and if I click on one, it closes them all up. So that is a way that you can consolidate. In this case, we were consolidating data from 3 different workbooks or files into one summary file. Okay, when you have links, and especially when they're in different files, You may have a situation where you don't want those links to still be valid. If you were sending this consolidation file to a colleague in another city, for instance, you would not want it to be linked to other files that were sitting on your machine or on your office server, because they wouldn't have access to those. And they might get error messages saying they can't find the links. So you might want to go to the data, and you have the ability here to edit the links once you've created links. So once you have links here, it indicates all of the files that are linked. You can check the status, which will tell you whether it's open or not, whether the source files are open. You can update the values, so someone might be working on one of the files or might have changed something. You can indicate whether you want a prompt when this consolidation file is opened up to alert people to that there are links, and do you want to automatically update them or not. So you have some choices there. You can break the link so that if you are sending this file to someone who will not have access to the files that support it, you can say break the link so they don't get any error messages or whatever. Or if you want the data just to remain as it is and you don't want it to take into account new data, you might want to break the link. If one of the files was moved to a different location on your server, for instance, you can say change the source. Or if the source files were not open, which of course they are right now, you could say open the source, and it would open those files as long as you can find them. So the consolidation gives you a lot of choices in terms of those links. So if I wanted to break the link, I could say that. And now this data is just adding up what it has now. This is just not going to make any, it's not going to update anything. It's not going to take into account any changes that are going on in those other files. So that's a little bit about consolidating information, summarizing information both within one file and for other files when you have multiple files that you'd like to consolidate. So I'd like to ask if you have any questions right now.
So if you might have any questions, you just click on the chat section and just ask the questions that way, and we'll be looking. And if not, we're going to be doing more of these.
Okay. Looking for the
And if not, we'll be doing some other these presentations. We'll probably skip on in August and start up back in September.
I think so. Okay. If you have any suggestions for what kind of topics you would like covered, Excel, PowerPoint, Word, Outlook, let us know.
And thank you very much.
Okay.
We'll forward the video to everybody. Have a nice day.
Okay. Bye-bye.